A very good morning to you. This is the AM show. I'm Bernice Abubedolansa. Thanks for staying with us. It's now time for me to have that exciting conversation. I'm so excited about it, and you'll understand why shortly. He's a young man who trended for a couple of days for picking up 16 out of 22 awards during the 55th congregation of his school, University of Cape Coast. And his name is Dr. Nathaniel Ni Antie Kujo. And let me tell you what, this young man did exceptionally well. He picked awards for Best Student, Best Graduating Male Student, Best Graduating Clinical Student, Best Graduating Preclinical Student, Best Student MB-CHB Part 2, Best Overall Performance, and the Best Overall Male Medical Student. He was also the best student in Anatomy, Physiology, Biochemistry, Microbiology, Community Medicine, Chemical Pathology, ENT, Pharmacology, Molecular Medicine, and Family Medicine. Wow. And I see that smile because that's the same smile you wore when the awards were being... Were you expecting to... Obviously, you know you're a good student. Every good student knows you're a good student. But were you expecting to receive that number of awards?
Honestly, I must say I wasn't expecting to receive that number of awards. Yes, I had an idea that I'll be receiving a number of awards, but still I was expecting to receive 16 out of 22. No, honestly.
Right, so there was a woman in that video who just couldn't help it. I just want to know who she is. She came from the back of the auditorium and came all the way to the front. Is that your mom?
Yes, please.
Oh, she was super proud of you. How did it make you feel, your parents? And his dad is here. I'll be engaging him shortly. But how did you feel your parents were there, your family was there, and here's the whole room applauding you, and it was award after award after award?
Yes, so of course the day before, like if you expect to receive a number of awards, you can go through some sort of preparation, but you can never be prepared enough for a situation like that, especially when you see the crowd clapping for you, the standing ovation at the end, and also seeing your parents, all happy and excited. At a point, it gets a little bit overwhelming, but I should say it was a really good
I could tell, because I'm like, oh, this guy feels like someone should hold him because you looked overwhelmed. But let me also introduce Emmanuel Akushe Kujo. He is father of Dr. Nathaniel Kujo. And Dad, we saw Mom. We saw her in that video, rush to the front. But where were you and what were you thinking when all those awards were being mentioned and your son's name was attached to all of them?
Well, I felt big, I felt great. I was there. I was at the back and, I was...
Cheering him.
Cheering him.
Right. Right. Had you always known that your son was this exceptional?
Yes, he's always been.
And so how did you notice that in his early years, and what prompted you into thinking, no, this boy, there's something special about him?
Well, he did everything differently. And he was not the type who would accept, poor performance.
Right. You were an intrinsic motivator, like you draw from within, right? You don't need to be pushed.
Exactly.
To do what you want to do.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's go back to you as a young boy. Had you always wanted to be a doctor?
Yes. It's always been my dream to be a doctor. As I was growing up, watching on television, movies, seeing doctors moving around, and the way they go about their activities, it was something that caught my interest. So yes, it was something that I had always dreamt of becoming. Yeah.
Right, and that was the only thing on your mind. Nothing else crossed your mind?
No, I was.
It has always been a doctor. Okay, so run me through your basic school through to high school. As for university, we know where you went to, but tell us about your basic and secondary education. Where did you have them?
So I had my basic school education at Quadrag Memorial School. Yes.
In Cape Coast?
No, that was
Where is that?
New Barry.
Okay, Quadrag Agri. Okay.
Quadrag Memorial School. Then I went on to St. Peter's Senior High School. I'm a proud Pescover.
Okay, Pescover, congratulations. I know when I get home, my own rest, but it's okay. But the interesting thing about Dr. Kudjo is that he represented his school during the National Science and Maths quiz.
Yes.
Wow. What level did you get to then?
Unfortunately, we were eliminated at the quarterfinals by Accra Academy.
By Accra. Yeah. Okay.
That's my dad's school, so.
Oh. Okay. So I'm sure your dad was torn who to support then.
Exactly.
Were you there for that contest?
Yes, I was there.
Okay. And so you were watching your son who was representing St. Peter's, and then there's your school. Who got your support that day?
St. Peter's, of course.
Wow.
Yeah.
The love of a father can push him from loving his school to his son's school is understandable. So from St. Peter's through to UCC, entering medical school, I have friends who are medical students and relatives as well. And sometimes they come home looking like they've been beaten by the rain. Like, I'm like, what's happening to you? And they're like, oh, Charlie. I mean, this is, we knew it would be hard, but this is some battle for us. What was it like for you in medical school?
Yes, so I think generally medical school system, the level of stress there, it cuts across every medical school. It's something that's how the system has been designed to be, because when you come out, you're going to take care of human beings, and any mistake you do can, cost someone their life. So that's how the system has been designed to be. So yes, it was really stressful for me as well, going through the modules, and specifically for our system, the way our system is organized. We do a modular system and we write exams almost every 2 to 3 weeks. So that's even an added stress. But I would say what helped me to go through it, first of all, I need to acknowledge the grace of God, because you can't go through a system like this without the grace of God. Secondly, support from my parents, my dad and mom especially, both financial and emotional support, my siblings. Then my lecturers as well, who, if it weren't for them, they trained me to be here. Yeah, I'm a doctor because I was trained by my senior colleagues. So yes, my lecturers, I want to mention one of them, my own vice dean, Professor Leonard Dechikwatin. He was very, very instrumental. He motivated me and challenged me, pushed me to my limits. So I'm very grateful to him for that. I also want to say support from my colleagues as well. The way the medical school training is something that you can't do it as an individual.
Right.
You need a lot of support from your colleagues and all that. So yeah, I'm also grateful to my colleagues as well.
And so what's the future like for you? What would you want to specialize in? And then what would you like to see yourself? Where would you like to see yourself in the next 5 years?
Okay, so at the moment, I'm considering neurology for now. Hopefully, by the time I complete my housemanship, things will be much clearer. Yeah, but for now, I'm considering neurology. And I'm doing that because I have the passion to contribute to stroke management in the country, because I believe that there's a lot that can still be done with respect to stroke management. So I'm thinking about, hopefully, as I finish with my training and after a number of years experience, hoping to set up a stroke facility specifically designed to management of stroke patients, so that at least some of the complications that they are faced with, all the staff there in those facilities will be well trained in order to deal with that. Yeah.
Interesting. He wants to be a neurologist. I'm told that that's like one hard area, but you're not one for giving up, right?
No.
How do you motivate yourself? Because your father said that you're not the one who likes to perform poorly. For many people, they rely on external motivation. So you have to talk to them, you have to tell them go and read your books. But your dad says you're not that kind. Self-motivated. How do you, or where do you get that from? What keeps you going?
Yes. Personally, I believe that it's quite difficult to get to the top. And it's even more difficult to stay at the top. So throughout my education, in one way or the other, I happen to be in the spotlight. So any examination you write, anything that you do, like people are looking at you. So you don't even have space to not perform well. You always have to be giving off your best because people are looking at you, both your lecturers and your colleagues. So that is a form of motivation for you to always make sure you're giving off your best and you cannot let the standards drop.
Interesting. So you're doing a blend of both. You're self-motivating, and then you also don't want to disappoint those who have so much hope in you. Do you have a social life?
I do.
Because the notion is that smart people and the term we use in Ghana is buklong. Yeah. Oh, we're buklong, we there on yeshe. Tell me what you do to have fun.
Okay, so I do a lot. I'm more of an indoor person.
Okay.
Personally, I'm more of an indoor person. So I like watching movies a lot during my leisure time.
Do you watch series? The Good Doctor?
I think I actually watch a lot of other series.
Okay, not so like just staying away, just
exactly,
something else, yeah.
So you just need to sometimes stay off it to just refresh your mind and stay sane. Yeah, so movies, I play a lot of video games personally. Yeah. And I hang out with friends as well as and when I get the time. So, yeah.
Okay, so he's not boring, please. Okay, right. Okay. So which of these awards surprised you the most? I'm sure going through school, you know that, this is my field. I did visual arts, and my favorite course was ceramics. So I wasn't surprised when I got an A in ceramics. There were other ones that was like, okay, that was tough. I wasn't expecting that. Which of these awards did that for you? Gave you that vibe?
Okay, it should be the best student in the final MBCHB Part 2. Yes, because for that...
Please, what is MBCHB? Please, we don't know.
Oh, okay. So it's more of it's Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery. It's the name of the degree for when you complete medical school. Exactly. So for the MBCHB, final Part 2 is made up of internal medicine and surgery. Okay. And for that particular exam, it's more like a licensure exam. So when we were done, we didn't get to see the exact value of the results. So nobody knew who was going to take that particular award. Yeah. So we only got to know it when we
on that particular day. Interesting. Watching that video made me smile a lot because I could see a lot of love, especially from your colleagues. Because when you talk about how you're trained, it makes me understand it better. Because usually in school, young people are very competitive, and sometimes, whether we like it or not, someone may feel that, I deserve. But it looked like all your mates were like, yeah. The support was there. Tell me what your relationship is like with your colleagues.
Yeah, so as I stated initially, early on in our discussion, the way the training is, we are mostly put into a lot of groups. So by the time you actually get out of the system, you feel one way or the other being in a group with your mates, and you've been involved in a number of activities together. So it's a close-knit sort of thing. Yeah, we are all united. We do a lot of things together, and we've one way or the other had to work to achieve something together. So we are all happy together, and we work. We are happy when the other person succeeds. So that's how it is.
I like that. And there was no controversy about it. I was at an award ceremony, and someone was adjudged the overall best student, and someone shouted, a student, it's not true, he's not the one. Yeah, but in your case, your colleagues were cheering you on, so this is undisputed. Nathaniel is the overall best student for his class. But Dad, let me ask you a controversial question. Who does he get this from, you or Mom?
I guess both of us.
Okay. What do you do? I like that. Okay, but what has been your training? What do you also have interest in the medical field? Does he draw inspiration? Because sometimes you find that that's a lineage, like a family of lawyers or a family of doctors. Okay. Does he get that from any of you, or this is a direct branch out from what the family?
No, he doesn't get that from us. So I think he's riding on his own, man.
I like that. And you allowed him to shine in his own space. That's great. Because we speak to a lot of parents who now understand that you have to let the child find their space and blossom, and not necessarily lord it over them because it's a family tradition or blah, 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 blah. So neurology, you said. And how many years will it take you to do that if you have to do it?
Yeah, it would take averagely about 6 to 7 years, averagely. But it could take longer, these at the end of the training, you need to write an exam, so it depends on how quickly you
Oh,
have to pass
Nathaniel,
the
you will
exam.
pass the exam. You're trying to be modest, we understand, but clearly you will pass it on the first try. And you said something about the grace of God. You're religious? You're Christian?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a Christian.
How do you? And in this day and age, I find that interesting because in other parts of the world, gradually science seems to move away from the concept of a God or a certain spiritual force. But for you, how do the two work together? The belief that there is a God and the belief in science.
Yeah. So personally, I don't understand why that problem usually comes up. I believe that as you learn more about science, you tend to discover a lot more things. And that should rather, make you be in awe of who created. So you should be thinking like, who actually created all these things? Because these things were there. What science is doing is just discovering things which are already there. It's not like they were not in existence. They were there, but science is discovering it. So the question should be, who created these things? And personally, as a Christian, I believe that they were created by God. So in studying science, as you go further and further ahead, your belief in God should actually be strengthened as you see the marvelous works He's doing.
And so how do you, and I'm thinking, so for example, how do you connect the two in the field or in the line of duty? I have heard of doctors who would always say a quick prayer before they see their clients, or who would say, no, he's not dead. And have faith and work at it and resuscitate until the person comes. Like there's that hope and belief in them. How do you marry the two in the line of duty?
Okay, so initially, medical practice was more on treating the condition that a patient presents with. But gradually, as time goes on, we are being encouraged to treat the whole person, like the whole human being. So it's more of a patient-centered care, and it's a holistic care. So if you realize when we are managing patients who are getting towards end-of-life care, you tend to involve the chaplain because this patient has a faith that they believe in. And all those things are very important because you need to know the spirituality of the patient so that you know when to bring the chaplain in order to help, build the faith of such a person. Yeah.
Really exciting. So I'm pretty sure there are a lot of young people watching you who are thinking to themselves, I mean, beyond getting the awards, you look like a very happy young man. You don't look like you were forced into anything. And for me, that's what matters. And you look like a happy young man who's achieved so much but still wants to achieve more. What would you like to tell younger people who are watching you, people who would aspire to be like you?
Okay, so what I want to say is that you should always, as an individual, you should have a fixed goal that you want to achieve. And let's say if you are planning to move from a point A to point C, immediately you get to point B, you shouldn't be too comfortable at the point B that you are. You should always have it at the back of your mind that I initially set up to get to point C. So even if you are in point B and you are doing so well, you shouldn't be so comfortable. You should always seek to achieve the best of yourself. Try for the best.
So like I mentioned, you've trended, people have spoken about you on social media and all, and then you met the vice president. Tell me how that meeting happened and how it made you feel.
So for the vice president's meeting, it wasn't something I was expecting, so I had a call to meet the vice president, and I think it was on a Monday. I was fortunate to have the opportunity to meet the vice president. So it was a really great feeling and humbling as well, because the truth is not everyone gets the opportunity to meet the vice president of the country. So it's a really humbling experience for me. Yeah.
Right, and we'll be showing you those pictures shortly, his meeting with the vice president and what that means for him as a young man who's achieved so much. So beyond the field of work and wanting to do neurology, as a person who lives within this space, how would you like to see medicine evolve, especially in this country?
Yeah, so I think as time has gone on, there are lots of improvements that we've already seen in the field of medicine in terms of infrastructure, training of more health personnel. So So but I still think, like in every system, there's still a lot of room for improvement. So there's still a lot that can be done in terms of infrastructure. Because as time goes on, we are training a lot more medical doctors, and it's important to have the facilities to absorb them into the system. Then also there's this problem of brain drain that is coming up again. A lot of our professionals are leaving the country. And the problem is that still the young professionals who are leaving the country, not the older ones. So I think there should be innovative ways to try and create an environment where the young professionals would love to stay in the country and contribute to our country.
Now, you're a brilliant young man. I was just going to ask you about the brain drain because the Ghana Health Service is really worried, especially with the nurses and doctors who are leaving the country post-COVID era and going to other places. So, Dad, he's number what? Because he mentioned his siblings.
He's number 6.
Number 6. Are you the last born?
Oh, there's one more.
There's one more. All right. And so when you see him and you look at your children and you look at all that they've achieved, as a father, you must clearly be proud. But I'd like you to talk to parents who are watching us, who may see that, okay, I have a young boy who's 2 or 3. He's beginning to show some signs of being an exceptionally good student. How do they help that child and nurture the child to achieve like we've seen Nathaniel do?
Yeah, I think that, like you already said, you allow them the space and then encourage them, motivate them, For instance, you don't allow them to deviate from what they've set out.
So you're almost like you're checking. You allow them to set the goals, but you are the one who's watching that they stay on course.
Keep an eye.
Was there any point in his life that you felt, boy, come back on track?
No, not
okay.
really. I can't remember any such. No, there was no such. It depends on the way you train your child.
Right, right.
And the kind of relationship that you build with your children. That keeps them on course.
And so, if I get what you mean, you must deliberately be involved in the life of your child. Tell us some of the practical things that you did to prove to Nathaniel that you were there for him and you were involved.
Well, he was never in want of anything. But that's what, as parents we did with all of them. And once they can get whatever they want, I think they will concentrate on what they are doing.
Right.
You see, they will not be in school and run out of whatever. So constantly, consciously, you must ensure that, you are supporting them such that they will concentrate on what they are doing.
I like that. Quite recently, we had a conversation about the use of gadgets for children, and the whole conversation about parenting in today's age came up, and that's why I was asking you that question about some of the deliberate things. So did you restrict him, for example? Were there things that you told him, Nathaniel, you're not allowed to do this, you're allowed to do this, which helped him in becoming that disciplined person he did?
Yes. There's always that side of parenting. Yeah. For instance, if the child will spend the whole day, watching telly or playing with their gadgets, it will not take them anywhere. So, you have to set the rules and ensure that, the rules are working. That's the only way you can get them to achieve what they want to achieve. Otherwise, they will just fall off. The time he has to be on his books, he will be watching something else or doing something else. The distractions are too many. So as parents, I think that we need to deliberately be involved in that aspect of training.
Right. If you just joined us, I've been speaking to Dr. Nathaniel Ni Antie Kujo and his dad, Emmanuel Akushe Kujo. And Dr. Nathaniel swept 16 out of 22 awards during the 55th Congregation of UCC. And I would just like to wrap up with them shortly here on the show. And if you missed any part of this conversation, please do well to catch up. You can do so on YouTube or on our Facebook page once we are done with this segment and it's uploaded. Did you grow up in a strict background? Were your parents strict?
Yes and no. Yes and no at the same time. Because I feel like even if they were strict, it wasn't too much. It was just to ensure
it was just what you needed, the amount of strictness you needed.
Exactly.
And how do you think that helped you, that made you who you are?
Yeah, I believe like he initially pointed out, as a child is growing up, these are things you need to like inculcate in the child at a very young age. And by God's grace, I was able to get that at a very young age. So even when I got to the university level, where you are more or less on your own, you decide how and when, like what you do with your time. Because of the training that I had received, I was a better manager of my time, I believe. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Doc. And I would definitely interview you here once you become that neurologist and when you build that clinic. So the big dream is to have a stroke management clinic. I won't forget you because you're exceptional and I'll be on the lookout for you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Doc and Dad. And well, we move into other aspects of our conversation. And you know, it's Good Friday and we will be zooming a little bit into something churchy when I host CT Praise. And they'll be here to tell us more about their album. They'll be releasing shortly. And HCI, which will be coming on Sunday evening, which is Resurrection Sunday evening. I'm going to take a sip of water, indefinitely, from Awake Purified Drinking Water, One for Life. Awake is premium purified water treated through a strict purification process to ensure that every bottle on the market refreshes you better. They have the perfect sizes for all occasions, 330 and 500 ml bottles to fit your pockets and bags, 750 ml for the heavy drinkers, and the latest 1.5 liters for those who always want more. The 19-liter jar bottles are ideal for offices and homes. Now, all you must do is drink Awake Purified Drinking Water wherever you go. Choose a bottle of Awake Purified Drinking Water today and get quality hydration. Awake Purified Drinking Water, One for Life. Remember, for every bottle you purchase, an amount is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center and is proudly produced by Casapreco. Here's the number to call if you want to purchase in bulk: 026-235-1251, 026-235-1251. This advert is FDA approved. We'll be back with more. Do stay.